So I'm really, really, really excited about tonight. And my friend Hannah Hodges is going to be sharing some of her story. Hannah and I, we go back maybe as far as, actually, we go back farther than me and Lynette. So I think I've known Hannah since she was maybe born. We went to the same church for years and years and years and years, and then reconnected because of social media and interest in the oils, and have spent a lot of time together over the past couple of years. And she just has such a sweet, pure heart and love for her family, love for the Lord, love for doing things uh, in a good and healthy way. I almost said the right way. And, I don't want that to be judgmental, but anybody that chooses a different path, but she's just been really intentional about her health. And if she has a health goal for her family, she's going to figure out a way to make it work. And I got to be on the sidelines and just watch her story unfold and see the power and impact of it. And it was really, really inspiring to watch. So when we knew that March was going to be a theme about kind of chemical-free living and some of the Thieves products, I was reminded of her story and how intentional she was. And she was so gracious to give some of her evening to share her story with us. So, Hannah, I'm just going to turn it over to you, and we're just going to be here and soak it all up.
All right. I hope everybody can hear me all right. Um, Shannon, I think my parents started going to Wesley in like 1982. So if y'all were going there then that's how long you've known. Well, I was born in 90. You've known me since I was born then. um, so I've been using oils and been using Young Living products since 2017 or so. I honestly sometimes can't remember life before like I learned all this stuff. But with that said, it's such a process. Um, what I knew in 2017 is like so little to what I know now. And I know that as I get older, it'll be similar. But as far as chemical free living and toxin free living, that all has been kind of a thing I've thought of and been doing, not super intentionally for a really long time. It's just been part of my nature to want things to be simple and just like safe. And with that said, though, I still burned candles for years, and I still like use the same cleaning products that my mom used because that's what she used and that's what I grew up on. I still use the cheapest laundry detergent because it's the cheapest. And so, I when I started using Young Living, those things started being like, I started understanding what was in them and learning what was in them, and thought, well, I can switch these things out pretty easily, especially being on ER and you needing to get to 100 PV every month to bring in the paycheck that I'll get from Young Living and all that. So it was pretty easy to ditch and switch some things. So pretty early on, I got rid of most everything that in my closet that was for cleaning. And to be real honest, I don't enjoy cleaning. So a lot of that stuff hadn't been used for a long time. So I'm sure y'all understand. But it was so easy to switch out a toilet bowl cleaner for Thieves scrub, Thieves and baking soda. And it was so easy to, switch out my window cleaner and my kitchen cleaner and my counters and whatnot for Thieves cleaner. Um, and it was so easy to switch out candles for a diffuser, especially when we've got super cute diffusers and all the good smelling oils. But there were other things that I didn't really think about, like body care products, even things such as like what you use for menstrual cycles, like that kind of stuff. I didn't think about those things until much later. But I did the easy things, switching out shampoo and body wash and all that stuff. But when Travis and I decided we were at least considering having kids, a lot more was opened. I learned so much more. And probably the very first thing that I did that was really, really intentional for my own body was that I stopped using the birth control pills in early 2017. I had learned so much about my own body and what birth control can do to you and how it can really wreak havoc on your hormones. And I guess I just don't understand how I didn't realize that before, but really there can't be judgment on things like this because you just don't know until you know. But I stopped that, and my cycles didn't come back. It was almost a year before they came back, and I didn't really care. I didn't see that as an issue because whatever. And we weren't like really, really ready to have kids yet. So I wasn't concerned. But probably in November, December of that year, so 6 or so months after I stopped using birth control, we were really ready to start trying. So I didn't understand why I wasn't having a cycle. I didn't know what was going on. And so I went to the doctor, and they did some tests, and long story short, after a few months, they diagnosed me with PCOS. It's a syndrome. So there's this huge long list of symptoms. And if you have at least 3 of them, then you have that syndrome. I don't meet the general criteria of PCOS. Generally, people with PCOS are heavy, have a really hard time losing weight. They have an insulin resistance. Sometimes diabetes goes along with it. And I just don't have those things. I have things like high testosterone and cysts on my ovaries, and just and other like bodily things that like are just, no one tells you that's PCOS, but it is. But anyway, so I was diagnosed with that. And I'm kind of going out of order of my story, but I knew something was wrong, obviously, when I wasn't having a cycle, but I didn't know what it was. And so I started doing things at home that made a big difference, that I see made a big difference. Whether it made a big difference on my fertility or not, it made a big difference in my life. I started switching I had learned that plastic in general, leaching into your food can really mess with your hormones. So I switched out the containers that I used for food storage. I took my lunch to work every day in plastic containers. And then I was heating them up in plastic containers. And so I switched all that out. It was super easy and it cost me like $60. So that was a little bit of an expense, but it's so much easier to clean, and it's better for the environment and better for me, and it was worth it. And since then, I've even switched out things like my plastic bags. I do still use baggies, like sandwich baggies and things like that, but I've switched out a lot of been able to use silicone like stasher bags for a lot of things that I just hadn't considered using those for before. But that's a great way to ditch some chemicals in your life for something that's not only sustainable, but better for your health. I don't remember the last time I've bought plastic baggies because I just use them. I use the sasher bags whenever I can. And it's been wonderful. But anyway, so back to my fertility journey, I switched that out, and that was the first intentional step of getting rid of chemicals in my home that I thought might affect my fertility. All that other stuff I ditched before was before. It's stuff I just did it because I didn't want it in my house. And then the diagnosis of PCOS happened just like 2 weeks after I started doing a whole foods diet. So that was the next intentional step on doing something for my fertility. We decided to do a Whole30, which, if you don't know about that program, take some time and look it up. It's great for many, many health issues. It's not a diet, but it is a program that essentially takes out anything that's not a whole food. If it's not a fruit or a vegetable or a meat, like, it's pretty much out. No dairy and such like that. But we did that for a month, and within 11 days of starting Whole30, my cycle came back, and I was blown away. I mean, I had not had a cycle in 9 months. And I mean, because birth control just does that to you, and PCOS does that to you. And within 11 days of clean eating, I had a cycle. And so my doctors completely dismissed it. They said, there's no way. Like, there's no way your diet has anything to do with PCOS, is what they told me. And like, a little bit of internet research tells you that is totally wrong. So, but they were not convinced that anything I could do with my diet could help PCOS. And I mean, they're just wrong. So I'm not here to say that doctors are always wrong. They were wrong in this situation, because I fully believe that my diet had everything to do with it. But there's so much more to this even. I don't stick to a whole foods diet anymore. I'm not good about it. I've learned so much about food, even since having Lachlan, my son, about intuitive eating and eating what your body craves and understanding what your body's telling you. So I'm not even here to tell you that a whole foods diet is what you need, but it's a really, really good way to start eliminating toxins in your diet, is by just trying to eat more whole foods. So in January, this was January that this all happened. It was January 11th. I remember the day because I started Whole30 on January 1, but is when I got my cycle back. And for 3 months, I had a cycle, and then I was pregnant. And it was, I mean, it was a crazy journey for those 3 months. And there's still even more to it than just a whole foods diet. This is the part where oils come in, because in January, I was told that I had cysts on my ovaries, and that would essentially means that I wasn't ovulating. So even with a cycle, I might not be ovulating. So it was important to create ovulation, essentially. And so I looked up some recipes in the desk reference. They have I don't know if you can see this because I don't know if it's backwards to you, but there's a whole section on page 457 of the desk reference about ovarian and uterine cysts. So that month on my ER order, I bought the oils for Female Cyst Blend 2. And it's sacred frankincense, geranium, and oregano. I made sure I had all those oils, and I created a blend for them and used it every night on my stomach, in the general area of my ovaries. And was just really hoping that would make those cysts go away. And I honestly don't know if it did, because I have not had another ultrasound to see. But when I was pregnant within 2 to 3 months, I didn't care. So, but all that said, like, I remember there being some pain associated with these cysts not long before I got pregnant. And I genuinely believe that this made a difference. Again, I can't know because I have not had another ultrasound to find out, but and then I kind of skipped over some of the resources I used, but all this knowledge kind of came with just trying to figure things out. I read Taming the Dragon Within to kind of understand women's hormones and what oils could be used to help with that. Inner Transformations is another one. I had actually a few months before tried to do the colon cleanse. I could not stick with it. It was very difficult. But I still did it for like 2 or 3 months. So it was a lot. And then on top of that, a non-Young Living related book is called Beautiful Babies that my friend Summer gave me. And it just talks about nutrition and the health of the mom and the dad both, and what that has to do with fertility, and just how to have a healthy pregnancy. And yeah. And then I also use things like Lucy Libido's book, which I could not find. I was so disappointed that I couldn't find it, but has some really great things about just having fun in the bedroom and like really taking care of your spouse in that way. And then also for later, Betsy Bosom's baby book is one of my favorite books. It's so great. But the Inner Transformations and the Taming the Dragon Within, as well as just some like general understanding of women's hormones, led me to kind of create a chart for myself to help myself keep having a cycle. So I didn't know if this one cycle was going to be the fluke. One time I only have a cycle, in January. I knew it had to do with eating healthily, but I didn't know if this was going to be normal. And so right away, I figured out, I literally just Googled it, Googled like a chart of women's hormones and where they are each time for each cycle of part of the month. And I learned things like that your body makes more estrogen at the end of your cycle, or sorry, at the beginning of your cycle, and that your body makes more progesterone at the end of your cycle, and how that affects you ovulating and then having a period. So when I figured out that, and I saw a chart that kind of had a line that tells you where those hormones are at what time of the month, I just decided, okay, well, on this day, since estrogen needs to be kind of low, but it needs to be there, I'm going to put 2 drops of oils. And then I would progressively go up and up and up based on that chart. And then when progesterone was supposed to be highest, I would go up and up and up with Progestins Plus and with that chart. And what I used for estrogen, sorry, I didn't say, was sclerosants, because that oil helps your body create estrogen, or at least mimics estrogen in the body. Don't ask me where I found that out. I can't remember. Probably the desk reference and a combination of that and the Taming the Dragon Within. But it's estradiol, I think is how you say it. Estradiol, I don't remember, but that's what sclerosants helps your body make that, or at least mimics it in your body. And then Progestins Plus, as many of us know, helps regulate hormones and create or helps your body create progesterone. So that was confusing, and I have the chart sitting like less than 15 feet away from me. I could pull it out and show it to you, but that is what I used. And I had a cycle for 3 months until we got pregnant. The first month, it was weird. It was like not kind of all over the place. I wasn't sure if I was really ever going to have a period, and then I did. The second month, it was perfectly normal. And then the third month, perfectly normal. And then I remember just knowing, like, I just knew that I was pregnant. I mean, people say this and lots of people don't want to believe them, but like, I knew that the first day when I was supposed to have a period, when I didn't have a period, I knew, because it just was it. And I remember, Tara's not on this call, but I remember Tara, it was the weekend of one of the Young Living rallies, and y'all were down here in Clarksville, and we went to Brooklyn and the the exchange afterwards, and Tara sat across from me and she looked at me and she said, "I had a dream that you're pregnant." She legit did that. Shannon's face. But anyway, she did that, and I said, "I might be. I don't know." I said, "I could be. I really could be." And it was like a week and a half later, I took a test and it was positive. Um, and so yeah, that is a lot. I mean, I didn't even look at my list, but of things to talk about. But wow, it was surreal. Um, but yeah, so that's my fertility journey. I did want to mention a couple other things that I've learned and done since Bach has been born. So I breastfed, and so didn't get a cycle for almost a year. But my cycles came back and they were really irregular. And um, I read this. I know that this is sort of about non-toxic living, but I just couldn't leave without saying this too, especially since we were talking about fertility. But I read a book called Taking Charge of Your Fertility, and it helped me really, really, really understand exactly what is happening for women. And it's things that I can't even believe we were never taught, like never taught in a sex ed class or never taught by our mothers, but it's probably because they didn't know either. And just wild, like I felt wildly misinformed until I read this book, even after understanding more than I knew. Like in 2017 or in 2018, I knew more than I ever knew as a woman. And then here I am learning so much more. But I read this book, Taking Charge of Your Fertility, and I started understanding my cycles. And I wanted to get things back on track because they just weren't normal. So I've been tracking my cycles, and I've been using that chart again. We're not trying to get pregnant. We're definitely trying to avoid getting pregnant, but I've been using that chart to track my cycles. And I'm telling y'all, Progestins Plus and sclerescence, they work. Like, I mean, I went from a 42-day cycle to like, it's now 30 to 35. Just by using those oils regularly, and just by using them in a manner that like goes with the flow of your body, or how your body's supposed to flow. And I still have symptoms of PCOS. I'm not at all even remotely saying that this has cured anything, because it hasn't. But the reality for me is that if we ever decide to have kids again, or another child, I will need these oils. I mean, I will. I just don't see how I won't. Because everything has been so much more normal. My cycles have been normal since using these oils, progestins and sclerescence, which I also brought with me. Yay. So yeah. I just, if you have any questions, I'd like to answer them or try to answer them. And I appreciate y'all listening.
My goodness, Hannah. I wanted to cry and laugh and cheer and all the things. So, a lot of what I'm hearing you say is that, like, if you research, if you look, you can be so empowered to make a difference for your own health, and nobody's going to do that for you.
Mm-mm. No, it's so incredible when you have information at your fingertips like we do. I mean, it's incredible I hardly have time to do the research that I like to do anymore. But I mean, just making a little bit of time to understand our bodies. We know that doctors don't know everything. They're also a great resource. So, anyway, understanding and researching and taking the time to just know what's going on, and then ask for help from your oily friends or from your doctor or from whoever can be great.
So you mentioned the silicone stasher bags. I don't know what those are. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's a brand. Stasher is a brand of silicone bags. You can also find other like non-name brand bags on Amazon, but they are silicone bags that are heat proof up to, I think, 500 degrees. I think all silicone pretty much is, but they are just resealable bags that they come in different sizes, sandwich size, snack size. I think they also come in like gallon size stasher bags too. But they're great. I can post a link. I don't know if it would be helpful to post a link in this video, but I can share. Yeah, I can share something in Believe Team about that. But yeah, they're just reusable bags that you can throw in your dishwasher, clean, and so great.
That sounds pretty cool. Okay, I also heard you mention, but I want to hear more about it. And maybe, the ladies who are on this call, this doesn't apply, but it does apply to my age and Hannah's. And if I think we'll share this recording with some others, so this will be beneficial information. But did you change out? Maybe it's
TMI. I did. I meant to go on with this.
Okay,
so this was one of those things that I can't believe I didn't know. But here I am, and now I know. So when I had a cycle and it came back, I decided to switch out to 100% organic cotton tampons. That was my first step. Then later I learned about the cup. And I got you can pretty easily find 100% pure cotton tampons now, readily available if you Google. And same with the cup. The Diva Cup is a popular one. I don't remember what kind I got. But the menstrual cup is a great option too. But anyway, I learned about that later when I was pregnant and nursing and didn't have a cycle yet. And as soon as I got my cycle back, I bought one because I don't know about you, but tampons are just gross now. Like, I just don't like them. So then, and here's another big thing about me that like I didn't learn about myself until later. I didn't really know this about myself, but I truly enjoy finding ways to live sustainably. Like, I've switched out my paper towels for reusable, like thin cotton towels that I use them for everything and just wash them. We cloth diaper, which leads me to the next thing I discovered was cloth pads, which I 100% honestly, absolutely thought they were disgusting not that long ago. I have two friends actually. Both of them had told me years ago about how they use cloth menstrual pads. And I was like, what? No, that's gross. That's what I thought. And then we cloth diapered. And wow, guys, it's way grosser to clean poop than it is to clean menstrual blood. Anyway, so as soon as I got that cup, I also got a few cloth pads for potential leakage and whatnot. And I love it. I love it. I love using a menstrual cup. It does take a little bit to get used to, but not much. And then cloth pads, if you just can't do the menstrual cup, are also an incredible option, and you can wash them with your laundry. That's all. It's so great.
Good to know, because you're right. We're not told that the fragrances and
Yeah.
the chemicals that are put on the commercial tampons and pads are actually disrupting our endocrine system.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you don't even have to go so far to look past as the tampon box that says you can get, I can't even remember what it's called, toxic shock syndrome, if you leave them in too long. I mean, that's wow, why didn't we realize, you know? And I have a friend as well that regular commercial pads would literally like burn her. I mean, that's awful to think that, I mean, something where we basically need can do that to us. So yeah,
Wow. So eye-opening.
it is. I can't believe I didn't know this before.
Knowledge is power, and
It
so
is.
you've used that knowledge to literally change your life, and
Yeah.
now you're sharing with others, which is
And
pretty.
if you want to know what changing these little things out leads to, you should know that last year I built a compost pile in my backyard. This year I'm starting seedlings in eggshells. Okay. Like I'm doing some really weird, like hippie stuff. But it doesn't seem weird. I love
Baby
it.
steps. Baby steps to it all. I love it. It just opens a whole new world, right?
It does. It really does.
So cool. Does anybody else have any other questions for Hannah? Good. Well, this is such a timely message because so many people are struggling with fertility and hormone issues and reproductive issues. And it's no surprise to those of us who are on this call that our environment is most likely contributing to the majority of these chronic issues that we're seeing. And I have a lot of friends who are suffering with this, and hopefully your message brings some hope. Obviously, we can't predict anything for anyone, and hopefully the message that came through is take charge. There are answers out there if you take charge and figure it out. Yes, Jeannie.
Not a question, but just a comment to Hannah. You did a great job, kid.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's past my time, but you did a great job, and thank you.
Yep, she did. And I know it is not easy to share such a personal and vulnerable story. So I just want to be sensitive to that and honor you, Hannah, for being willing to do that. And I think it's going to help some other people who maybe are afraid to ask for help, but they're struggling with the same things. Very cool. Hannah, any last words of advice for anybody listening?
Just if you have any questions, if you're watching this video later and have questions, you can message me, you can reach out. But just know that if you want to change something about yourself, you're the person who has the power to do that. No one else has to tell you to. No one else gets to make you. It's all you. But there's plenty of people to help too.
There you go. And your baby boy is a year and a half now?
No, he is 2 years and almost 3 months old. He's speaking in full sentences. He's definitely the smartest kid I know. I'm not biased. Yeah.
Awesome. Yay. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. This has been inspiring, and I am thrilled, Hannah, to see your face again. Does me good. Okay, everybody. Good night. We'll talk soon. Thanks for joining.
Good night.
Bye-bye.